Being problem-focused is about solving a particular problem for a particular person.
We'll start here with the problem.
If a customer or a user of whatever system or product you're making starts a sentence with, you know what, it really sucks when, or man, I hate it when, it's got to be a pain that a person has that we're going to magically come in and solve for them. To articulate that problem, you want to go, when and where does this person have this problem?
So let's say the customer has a problem with taxis. Let's be specific. We don't know when or if they'll arrive. We don't know if the driver is taking the fastest route, and it can be awkward to pay in cash. Notice how we're writing down specific pain points.
If you can make your description of the problem something that everybody just nods along to, it's like, yeah, I totally get that. I get that all the time. Then you know you've hit upon a problem worth solving.
Now we're going to write down some customer segments.
We want to explore which people have this problem. These people are called your customer segments.
We'll use this box on the other side of the canvas for our customer segments.
If you're having trouble nailing down who a customer segment is, think about what kind of person they are. Like, what are their hobbies? What do they do on the weekend? Is there something that unifies a group of people together? For instance, like skateboarders are a pretty specific bunch of people.
For example, Pinterest targets digitally savvy, outgoing young women, while GoPro targets sports enthusiasts, professional athletes, and media production professionals.
Sure, people outside of that group use it, but their initial customer segment is really specific.
Be really careful with generic customer segments. Things like age and gender don't always tell you useful information about the customer. First, add some context. Do they experience your brand during office hours or at home? What about behaviors? What's the customer physically doing when they experience the problem you solve? How about attitudes? How does the customer feel? Is it a need or a want? Is it about utility or desirability? The big question is about the customer challenge. What pain does the problem create in this person's life? Think about their goals and motivations. A senior manager might work in the same context and company as an intern, but their goals and pains will be really different. Be careful about inventing customer segments that you just don't know anything about. It's better to have one segment you really understand.
So, one of the big problems that we get in starting a business versus looking at other businesses is that Uber, for example, is a $14 billion, however many billion-dollar startup that they are, which means that they actually end up very, very generic. So we don't compare the start of our idea with the end point of someone else's idea. So if you can't imagine a flock of this kind of person hanging out somewhere, you probably don't have a niche enough customer target.
So now that you've described a real problem that a group of real people actually have, we now have the chance to describe how we're going to solve that problem for those people. Your UVP, unique value proposition, is a single, clear, compelling message about why you're different and worth buying. It's important to think about the problem that your customer segment has, because the difference needs to matter to that kind of person. Think about providing something for a certain kind of person in a certain situation. For example, flowers are different when they're last-minute gifts to when someone's planning a wedding. Your UVP is normally that one sentence that's the first thing that appears on your website that lets people know that you do what they need. Don't fall into the trap of trying to be the most unique thing in the whole world. The difference that you have doesn't have to be huge, it just has to be meaningful to the people in your customer segment. And if you're struggling, just take a guess. Now that we've nailed down a good UVP, we need to prove to the customer that we've got solutions for each part of the problem they have.
So for instance, yes, Uber is a replacement for taxis, but the problem solution fit that we deal with in Uber is,
I don't know when a taxi will arrive, is solved by having the taxi appear on my app. Not knowing if the driver is taking the fastest route is solved by having a map on my phone showing where we're going. The fact that it's awkward to pay in cash is solved by having seamless credit card transactions in the app. Note that every solution is a feature directly relevant to each problem.
Another good example about problem solution fit, you know when you have like a Word document and you write it and you put Word document version 3 and the date or whatever, and then you email it to someone, and then they edit it and they email it back, and they've got like version 3 final in capital letters, and then you email it back to them, and after a while you have no idea which document you're actually editing and who's done what. That's the problem that Google Docs solves through collaborative document editing. The fact that everybody can see what everyone else is doing on the one document is the specific feature that solves the problem of emailing Word documents backward and forward. So when you're doing your problem solution fit, make sure that you're doing feature for problem, not my magical wonderful solution for the big generic problem.
Let's recap. You should have written down 1 to 3 problems, at least one specific customer segment, a unique value proposition, and solutions to match each of the customer's problems. If you've gotten this far and you're really impatient, you could just go and talk to a bunch of people in your customer segment about their problems and see if your solution fits. The rest of the canvas from here is all about making sure that that problem solution fit actually works as a business. The problem solution stuff feels really valuable and is really valuable. The rest of it is the stuff that doesn't feel very important, but is really important if you want your cool idea to turn into a business that actually works.